From Burns Park in North Little Rock, Arkansas, USAFL.com's coverage of the United States Australian Football Central Regional Tournament continues with Game 5. This is to determine the champion of Pool A. It's an all-Texas match between the Austin Crows and the Houston Lonestars. The Crows are the number one team in the nation, riding a 26-game winning streak against the Lonestars, who are ranked number 6. And on special comments with this, a man who knows both of these teams very well because he's played against them on numerous occasions, from the Dallas Magpies, their heart and soul, Bren Miller. Bren, talk about these two teams because they know each other very well, as you know them. Austin's got to be the favorite. What does Houston have to do, aside from kicking straight, to upset the Crows here?
Houston plays a pretty physical style of game. Austin is going to be – they're going to run. They're going to play on a lot. Their halfbacks are going to play through. But Houston's going to try to beat them up. And it'll be interesting. Last time they played was in Dallas, and Houston held it pretty close. I mean, quite close. Like you said, Austin's coming off a 26-game winning streak. The last time they've lost was, I believe, to us in 2015. So we'll see if that changes today.
Said that with a sparkle of pride, I might add, as the ball goes out of bounds, and we'll have a boundary throw. And the Crows are in the blue jumpers with the red and yellow stripes. Those are uniforms from the Adelaide Crows. They have a very tight relationship, and I know you guys have a pretty good relationship, I think, with Collingwood as well, do the Dallas Magpies.
No, Collingwood gives New York everything. Oh. They give us the cold shoulder.
Oh, that. Well, I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. It's better a cold shoulder than no shoulder at all.
I think we became we went from the Dallas Outlaws back in like 1999 to the Collingwood or to the Dallas Magpies because we did get a set of jumpers from them, but it's been about 20 years since then.
And the ball's going out on the full, so Austin's first foray inside the Lone Star 50 goes for naught. Here come the Lone Stars back the other way, and the red, white, and blue jumpers is number 9 over there for Houston. That's Sean Smythe. Now, the problem I had the last year was that those jumpers are really hard to read. There's silver numbers on white jumpers. It's very difficult. It is. Especially if you're trying to call a game, as that one goes inside 50 and the ball is tipped, and that has gone for a free kick.
I'm not going to hold you to any numbers, and I won't bother to correct you if you're wrong.
Well, you can. I mean, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. Lone Stars won earlier as they defeated Nashville. Both of these teams actually defeated Nashville earlier today. Let's talk about the Kangaroos a little bit because you've seen them grow as a club, and they've sort of had regressed from Division I status back to Division III to under Division IV. But they've really come on, especially with guys like Mo Howe and also John Freeman, who will be heading in just his second season. He'll be playing for the Revos.
Yeah, Nashville back in the day when they had both of the Namath brothers and that guy Sugar, I don't know his real name. They were a very formidable team, and they have regressed a little bit, but hopefully they can find their way back up into the Division I pool at Nationals one of these days.
Another defensive stop by the Lone Stars. Here is Christian Merritt, who throws that one on to the right before he's shoved into the bench.
Better known as Money. That was a nice little kick by Money.
That was a good kick by Money. That was a good $50 of a kick right there. And Houston turns it over straight in the middle of the ground, and they do so to the number 38 there, who is Nolan Cox. What is it like playing against him?
Difficult.
I would love to see him. It would be great to see him in the AFL, but as he said, he's also 29 years old, and once again, he's kicked that one straight out on the full.
He's a really talented player. I mean, he plays ruck for him. He plays full forward for him. And he's a big body. He's not as big as his brother, but he is a big body, and he's a force to deal with.
For those not familiar with Mason Cox, who really, of the players that have gone over and played, Jason Holmes, that was the first American-born and bred player to play in the Australian Football League. But Cox has played the most games, he's kicked the most goals, and he's really been the best player. And so it's no surprise to see his brother doing very well for the Crows here in the USAFL. And here comes Austin as they go up over the top, and that one is marked. 41 there, I believe, was Nicky Anderson. Runs inside 40. The kick is up on the way, and it is there. Goal to the Austin Crows. It took them a little bit longer than I expected to after 3 forays forward, but that's the first goal on the Little Rock scoreboard. 1 straight 6 for Austin, and Houston yet to score.
Having these the rosters in front of us, Brian, is going to give me great opportunity to learn people's real names and their last names.
Yeah, I tell people when we do this, don't use nicknames or don't just use nicknames.
Right.
Because, like you said, who the hell is Sugar,
Diesel. Yeah.
Diesel, yeah.
Zach Davis. I do know his real name, but yeah, right there, number 5 for Houston in front of us.
Yeah, and he played well. He had a lot of touches in the opening game against Nashville.
He was a Magpie for quite some time.
Yeah. Ball back in the middle, and away we go again. Austin up 6, and he slap bangs that one as if he said, no, no, no. And the other was Dikembe Mutombo. And then the kick goes inside 40. It is a packed forms. It ricochets off towards the goal, but luckily there were 2 Lone Star players who were back there for it. They continue on. They throw that one onto the right. That's not going to count. There was a whistle. It was too high, and that one was called from all the way back in the center square. But it was the right call as they just got him on the shoulder.
Leave it to Ross McLaren to make a call from that far away.
Well, he is one of the better umpires in the league. He's one of the veteran umpires of this umpire association.
I think he's the best umpire in the league. Unfortunately, he doesn't really get to umpire our games very much, especially at tournaments like this in the USAFL, because he is from Dallas and he did play with us. But Ross has really, really done a great job as an umpire. Josh
Schlatten has Schlatten that one, and it's a goal, second of the game for the Crows. 2 straight 12. And Houston yet to score. Now, Schlatten, I believe this is his second or third full season. He's relatively new, and he took a lot of really nice marks in the game against Nashville, really threw himself at the ball. And I remember him, they were saying that he was like a second reasonable player as a dog passes by. We got to say hi to the puppers.
Dave Gerziak right there.
Oh, yeah.
AFL Combine veteran.
And USA USA Revolution representative.
And he was also on American Ninja Warrior.
Was he really?
He was on American Ninja Warrior.
I feel like I should have known that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, back to play we go. And I was going to say, Schlatten has played really, really well. And the other thing is, we were mentioning in the last game, he and one of the other Austin guys, they took a train from Austin up from Amtrak up 13 hours. Yeah. I love trains. I don't know if I love them 13 hours.
It beats driving, I guess. If you can just sit there and maybe work on your laptop.
Yeah. Maybe have a snooze.
Yeah.
Houston was trying to get the ball forward. They just got it outside of their side of the square as Halub, who had a good first game. That's a one-on-one contest, but that was always going to be won by the fullback there. I think that's Sean Connell.
That was Jesse for Houston that won it out of the center square and kicked it into the forward 50.
Jesse Carcamo, who is one of the better young Americans, and that one was picked off by Matt Stevens, who is the captain of this Houston side. And then he turns that one right around, and it's marked out on the near side by number 40, who I believe is Simon Boyce. Yeah, that's Boise.
That is Simon Boyce, everybody's favorite player.
Do I tend to hit a hint of sarcasm there, Mr. Miller?
Simon Boyce's own team doesn't like him.
Well, he said that, folks, not me. Carcamo in the middle of the ground as Houston now has a little bit of confidence, and that's a nice mark. As he had to push away from at least 1 or 2 tackles. I believe that's 16, which is Veruti.
So we got Fielder coming off.
Yep. And Fielder was good in the second half of that one. Here's the kick as the Lone Stars try for their first point. That one dies in the wind, but it's marked, and he's going to play on. Whoops. Not the best of decisions.
Bad.
And did it go over? Yes, it did, 4 behind. But I think the wind may have taken that a little bit because the wind's starting to blow into their faces are the Lone Stars. But in any event, that's the first point for Houston on the Little Rock scoreboard. It's 12-1, Austin with an 11-point lead.
Good to see Houston get on the board there. Hopefully keep this close.
Yeah, they're going to need to, as you say, they're going to need to figure out a way to pick apart the fact that Austin is so skilled and so fast.
Well, and truth be told, Austin is missing some good players today. They don't have Kendrick Tyrell, their big full forward. They don't have Grant Campbell. They're
Benny Carpenter.
Yeah, Carpenter. They also don't have Wes
Mitchell.
Yep. So.
Even though I thought he was in the first game, and I called him a couple of times before we got numbers. So this is what happens when you don't give the commentator numbers before the game starts, is you start seeing things. But
I haven't seen Wes Mitchell all year. He didn't come to the Texas Cup. Tyrell was there, but
yeah. Kenrick Tyrell, former Orange County Bomber and a Northern Territory Thunder product.
Well, Carpenter is in Australia playing right now, isn't he?
Yeah, or he was for Montrose, and I don't know whether he was still over there. Was he at the Dallas tournament?
He was not at the Dallas Cup.
Yeah.
I was told that he's in Australia.
Yeah, and he'll be playing for the Revos as well in the International Cup.
Nice. That'll help the Revos out a lot.
Yeah, we'll talk about them in just a second because they're, of course, with the tournament coming up, there's a lot of high hopes, and I think it also shows how far the American game has come. Not just the teams, but the players especially.
We had Dallas hosted the Revo Camp back in March or April?
May. It was actually the beginning of May.
May, sorry.
That's okay. It all blends together after a while, maybe.
Oh my gosh! So we had to play against those guys, and I was sore after that, Brian. That was a hard game of footy.
I'm sore just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
there's a big boy from Denver. I don't know his name, but he definitely separated my shoulder that day.
Oh gosh. Well, here come the Crows as that one goes inside 50. It's a one-on-one contest. Did he get it? No, he didn't. Ball went to ground and then picked up. Again, they stab at the footy and able to clear it out was the defender for Houston, but almost another turnover. They're getting the ball out in desperation. The problem is that they're not getting any sort of direction with it. And now back inside again, took a one-hop in. I believe that was Schlatten. And then clearing that away was, looked like Stephen Ryan.
You can see what Austin does here. They do a pretty good job of building a wall. They build a wall right here at the front, this end of the square, and then they build another wall right there. And then they keep their defenders 1 or 2 kicks away and keep the ball out of their offensive zone.
Yeah.
I guess that would be their defensive zone, sorry.
And another goal for the Crows as they were able to center it in front, and I believe that would have been a 13 in there for Austin. Looking through the numbers there, it was Blair Mortimer, the man with the man bun, and as he kicks a goal, and that takes them on the Little Rock scoreboard. It's a 3 straight 18 Austin, 1 point, only 1 point for the Houston Lone Stars. It's back out to a 17-point lead.
Arguably could have been a goal for Houston if he would have just slowed down and taken that mark.
Slow down, you move too fast, got to make the morning last, etc. Ball comes back into the middle of the ground. And I want to talk to you about Nationals. It's still a long way away. We're still have games left in regionals, but how's the preparation going in Dallas for San Diego?
It starts 10 months in advance. You can't get fit for Nationals. You can't get fit for this in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The fitness required for this game, if you just come off the street, it's going to take you 18 months to get fit for this.
Jesse Aguirre from the sideline. He's kicked a great goal. Yeah, you want to talk about young American talent. Jesse Aguirre with a wonderful goal, 45 meters out from the pocket. And I'm telling you what, Eddie Betts with that Adelaide Crow jumper, that's his pocket. And a great goal by young Jesse Aguirre on the Little Rock scoreboard, 4-1, 25 Austin and Houston 1 point.
I've been playing against Jesse for a really long time, and very, very, very much so underestimated him. Quite a few seasons back, who was this little guy? What can he do? And he kicked a few goals on us that day, and I've always remembered him ever since. Yeah,
and he played well at Nationals too in the first, although not last year, but in 2015 when they won, he was one of the best players on their team. Really wasn't a standout as opposed to guys like Nussman or Cox or Tyrell, but really played well. And he's another speedy, young, athletic American player.
They have so many speedy, young, athletic Americans.
And that is another one. Or did it go off to the side? No, it looked like it went in here, but it went off from the side. I believe Cox had that one kicked. So another behind, 4-2. I'm sorry, that was their first behind. Or is that their second? 4-1-25 is the score. I'm not keeping it. It's the first game I'm not keeping it on paper, and that's probably why that happened. Brian Barish alongside Bren Miller from the Dallas Magpies. Great to have your company with us here on USAFL.com as they handball it in. That is Uzabiaga. Uzabiaga's kick. That one is in. Is it Mark? No. Good defensive mark. And a good job by the fullback for Houston to save yet another 6 points on the scoreboard. Up on that right side, As Carcamo, I mentioned in the last game that Carcamo with his flowing mane looks like a black stallion across the Arkansas landscape. And he's another guy, and we mentioned him before. He's a very good athletic player, and really does a little bit of both because he's tough, but he's also very much a finesse player in the middle, kind of like a Hayden Ballantyne.
Absolutely.
Ball goes back to ground. Just got the kickoff. Hey, look at another foray inside the offensive arc as Craig, who kicked 2 goals in the opening game, or 3 goals in that opening game, he is stood up, held up, and thrown down. And it looks like the umpire will cross his arms and give a ball up.
I'd like to see Houston be able to get it in their zone this time inside their forward 50. Maybe get a chance for a goal for them.
They might need to spread themselves a little bit and give their whoever wins the ball, give them a little bit more opportunity. You can see there's 6 white jumpers around the footy, and that's not going to help them. And again, the ball gets tied up, and we'll have a ball up. Now, we mentioned the USA Revolution. I know that was a free kick they play on. It is almost marked. He's going to turn around and throw that one on to the left. It's tailing away, and it's through for a minor score. On the Little Rock scoreboard, that's their second point of the game. It's back to 23 points. 2 points for Houston, 4-1-25 for Austin.
Houston needs to lock it in here, try to get a goal, get themselves back in this game. Gets away from them.
I was going to say, one thing that we've seen from Austin in the games here, and also in that last game with you guys, is the ability to pick off those kick-ins. And it doesn't happen very often against Austin, and it's not going to happen here. But they will be able to maybe control the footy, and then as they go to pick it up, and then again, that is Pelletier who gets the footy and then throws that one on, and then Benny May, and he picks that one up. It's marked. Here is Schlatten, will turn that one on to the right. Oh, almost Aguirre. He picks it up. He spins around, throws it on to the left, and it's there.
Did I go through?
Yes, it did.
Wow.
Nolan Cox.
Yeah.
Wow. That's all you can say about that is he was spun around. He wasn't even on balance. He was falling down, probably was going to fall on his rear end. Just got it onto his left foot and kicked a goal.
He's a big, strong guy. Like I said, I mean, he will push you around if you're defending him. He's hard to play against in the ruck.
On the Little Rock scoreboard, it's 5-1-31 for the Austin Crows, who are looking for win number 27 in a row against the the Houston Lonestars, 2 behinds. Now, you've been in the league a long time. You must have some recollections of the Denver Bulldogs in their halcyon years, when they won 41 in a row and 4 national championships. How would you compare Austin to the Bulldogs?
Austin is a more finesse team. Denver, that was a really hard-nosed football team that Denver had. The Ellis brothers, those guys would definitely put a hip and shoulder into you. Austin doesn't have a lot of guys that are going to just level you. They've just got a lot of guys that are 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, and can run all day long. And that's Austin right there for you. I mean, if you look at these guys, they're all about the same size, super fit, pretty good skills. And they're well coached as well.
Yeah, they're very well coached. Sean Smith, who was very good offensive player last year in Indianapolis, with a good defensive mark that has sparked a passage forward. But again, the Crows are able to snuff that one out, and Boise comes out to the near side. He turns and fires up the near side off the tip of Fielder, and that looked like low contact as he was sort of kicked, but Pelletier gets it. He'll throw that one on to the left. It drifts into the middle of the ground, again looking for Aguirre. And then Aguirre will handball it to no one in particular. He was just trying to clear himself from space, almost ran onto it himself, and then the ball goes to ground, and then again Aguirre, he is like a buzzing bee, busy all over the place. That's easy for you to say. Sits up for Pelletier, who throws it on to the left. Is that going to curl around? No, and Uzabiaga was running onto it, but it took the left exit off of I-76. No, it's I-30 over here, isn't it? It's the Schuylkill Expressway back in Philadelphia. But in any event, the ball's going out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. We are in the waning stages of the first half. 31-2. Austin, a 29-point lead over Houston. The winner of this game will play in the grand final a little bit later. The loser will play for third place. The other team from this pool, the Nashville Kangaroos, will play in the fifth place game. And there is another goal off the free kick. And that extends their lead. I'm trying to see who scored that. But in any event, on the Little Rock scoreboard, that takes Austin to 6-1-37. 2 points for Houston. It's up to 35 points.
Well, hopefully this doesn't get away from Houston too much, and maybe the wind will give them a little bit better chance in the second half.
That was Uzabiaga who kicked the goal. Who kicked the goal in the first game as well, and I've been impressed with him. He's a good finesse player. I think, as we mentioned, a guy as you mentioned, they're full of them, but that's how it is. As they want to throw that one on to the left. Again, Houston, that one's going to sit up in the wind. That's a nice mark. It's a nice grab by Sam Donnelly. And Donnelly, as the hoots for 50 come from the Houston bench, that's a mark! He climbed the stepladder and picked down a ripe set of cherries from the tree. And that appears to be Richard Veruti. So Veruti had a chance before. Let's see if he can straighten this one up. Kicks it with his left foot. It's going to curl around, but the goal umpire didn't have to move. First goal of the game for the Houston Lone Stars. On the Little Rock scoreboard, that takes them to 1-2-8. They now trail by 29 points as the siren goes. 6-1-37. The margin is, 29 points. Look at that math skills. First half thoughts really quickly from Bren Miller.
Houston better do something quickly to come up with a way to keep themselves in this game.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. We'll be back for the second half of this one. You're watching the 2017 USAFL Central Regional Tournament from North Little Rock, Arkansas, here on USAFL.com.
How can people watch